Okay, back to Space Command setting. Highline interference, high direct locations, all levels. Generally, space-time creator is in set signals and high generation stream sets. The allocate position location is all levels. The position of track setting is change position location direction is how we see ourselves in all levels of correlation system. Allocate timelines times streams times pi. The position line direct location is putting everybody into their pyramid active stream location, right? So you have to come in a communications cyclone line center and high interference. You need 4 galaxy stream sets. That sets up northwest, south, and east. The correlation system comes into its membrane to its hardware line center. It comes into a digital line position location of circuits that overlines its calculation setting. So we're going to go into the mainframe today in circuit location setting interference. The plasma line center rotation has to understand the webbing setting. The webbing setting is an intricate locations of how you use patterns. Patterns in a correlation system allocates position of time, the central communications of time, the activation of streamline conditions of time, high formation locations of time. It interlines its intricate locations. It opens all channel option stream sets. So recognizing communication is your navigation of your pyramids, how it's set in signals. The highline center location comes into gamma rotation surface. Now the rotation surface is all of its locations when it comes into all levels of correlation. Now the correlation sets of the clock lines into 12, 24, 48, 72, and 144 crystal grid setting. It's about plasma energy stream sets that puts position locations into a level setting. You came in position of 30 million track settings. Now we're going to 6 million track line connections into an operation cycle. That's 3 billion set circles and set locations per second, per channel, per optic, per square, per mile. The calculation set lines and time sectors, it's highline communication of higher levels of quadrant settings. It allocates position of time, it opens all communication settings, and it rotates its surface. When you get in a rotation surface, it sets communication setting. It's all positional directions where we get you guys into 6 million to 9 million settings. Okay, the vibration and frequency has to be in an Earth rotation spin cycle. That cycle has to be in a certain line of communication, right? So as you come in spacing line, you form its calculation streamlines into the kaleidoscope. Now the kaleidoscope looks position location to perception line screens. This opens all position location to your program location. This allocates position location to your time sectors. Now the time sectors sets line position locations and how you see yourself through your own scales of operation. The measure calculation streamline sets all correlation to your alphabetical line setting. So you come into your metaphysical line conditions, your meta adaptation cycles, you come into your meta universe line positions, you come into your digital frame line connection interference. So being in a process of meta is a correlation system to mental. The capacity line center is the capacity high interference location that comes into the interface location of the psychological setting. Okay, you have to recognize these communications, right? So it's like understanding 2 panels in set locations, but not understanding everything in the center. Okay, this is the off calculation of pi. Okay, so when I'm going into this, it's creating what? A higher level of communication of bandwidth over time. Okay, this is a correlation of pi. Your direct line setting is trying to understand the measures of calculations to your Mach settings. You're mocking position locations from all level setting. Now, when you get into Mach 1, you go into Mach 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That's an acceleration line, sending location of 24 light signature locations into pattern communication light signature line settings. See, if I point my finger in direct line setting, okay, it's in the left line rotation, but I'm looking over across lines to the right line rotation. Right in router, left and center. The center calculation at high interference location is position locations, how you see yourself. Right over left, left over right. The center communication is a holographic setting. So when you're looking at things, you wait about maybe 60 seconds to a minute. So once it understands its system location, you actually see it come out and it starts to float. And then you understand it's a hologram setting. So all you're seeing is a video graph of what you just integrate with. So it's in its relation, it's in its holographic pod. That pod is position of its direct line setting. That opens all channel operation locations to your data setting operation settings. This opens all communications to how you see yourself through perception. Okay, holographic streamlines in your conscious line settings now. Okay, putting you guys into a meta communication cycle. All right, so once you stand the meta setting of you come into Metatron. Metatron is a Metatronic cube setting. It allocates line center test rate interference. Your position location is March 1st, putting you guys into your pyramid setting rotation. Now, coming to communication setting, you have to really understand the recognition of line settings, navigation system. You're going to be 24,000 light years in set locations, again, in set line interference. That 24,000 is going to be 60 line settings. That's position locations of pi over the moon and 80 line setting locations of pi over the sun location, right? That's going to put you in 36 fields of operation. 12, 12, 12, 12, 24, 36. 36 fields, okay? The operation cycle, high endurance line center location security, and your protection locations into your field settings, okay? The 36 fields puts you into 36 light speeds. That's puts you in line center locations 3 over pi into 6. Now 6 brackets its location of in position line directions. That's where we channel locations into 6 zeros of operation. Now the platitude location brackets center lines. That's 6 lines in equal line conditions of 1, which is 1 line center location of 7. So that's 6 over line position locations, time sector, factor over trifactor. The set line communication system is always going to be 7 lines of communication. That's your body communication setting, which is all levels of you. Anything above is your 5 central calculations to your adversary line setting, which is your DNA track of your 12 locations. Now the team is opened up through 10 line settings, but you guys have to go through 11, 12, and 13 in bracket interference. Breaking these things down in correlation system. Understand that all the compartment settings that you have in your digital layer setting. Setting a signal in the high center interference. If you look at a digital screen and you see something created from a small point of view, you look at the center operation line, there's a dot of a vibration. So as you go into higher communications, your chakras are starting to understand through zone tethering. Now the zone tethers are set lines in high line interference. It sets position location, direct locations into your nano technical line setting. That puts you into measure calculation streamlines. That puts you into higher communications of your microvalve settings and rotation cycles. This puts you in a higher communication of your chakra setting interference and pro location and coloration panels. That opens all signal locations into your positions into 6, 7, and 8, and 9 line setting, equal line conditions of 9 rotation. So the correlation system has to really understand the intricate location in your settings, really understand your emotional setting, understanding all your senses, and your inhibitor line rotations. Now the inhibitor line rotations is the back of the neck line setting. That opens up position locations to your cloud line interference. This sets locations when you see a cloud line center interference line position of space calculation, you're setting up schematics of the line center locations into the membrane in a correlation system of its placebo, of its high center interference, of its correlation setting. Okay? So it's very confusing if you don't understand how to get in a correlation setting. Now I'm saying a lot of information in a chronological order. Each one is in a panel of vibration location of digital screening. You have a digital screening, a holographic stream, and all levels of intricate locations. So you have to understand the digital layers of you, okay, in its webbing cycle. The webbing cycle is an information setting, which is all levels of files, okay? So if you understand 9 in set locations, you're going to understand more communications to your number and frame settings. So when you get a 9, you get an energy wash, right? And you cross wind, right? So there's a hologram stream set, right? Now every block setting is all position hieroglyphic line setting in position location, the frame setting, the pyramid line, and rotation. Set a correlation system in your geometric patterns. This locks its symbol into its weather correlation setting. This opens all communication in position location directions, all right? So setting signals is extremely powerful when you come into correlations interference, okay? Correlation is everything when you reach higher communication settings. Okay, so you got integral locations into positions, all right? This is position lines, all levels of energy wash location. That's an energy wash, all right? So you center communications into this line setting. Okay, this is sonar echo chamber line setting rotation. Setting communication in the opposite cycle line setting in position location energy watch in the opposite line condition. All right, so that's what you're creating. So creation line center, Belinda has something set up locations. So they set lines in at 0, in position of 1, in position of 2, and that goes in 3. See, everything's in order. Even though it's 1, 3, 2 or 1, 3, 5, it doesn't matter. Everything's in a correlation of files. It recognizes the position of archive sets lines and set location, position location directions. 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9 line setting. 0 to 9 line. Now the avatar line center is 0 to 9 line, and 9 equals line position of 0 locations, right? So that's 90 channel operation streamlines, okay? energy wash into a space operation setting. So it sets position location to its orb channel operation stream location. Now, this is what's inside an orb. Now, you understand the graph line streamlines, you understand position locations to each block channel that sets its location. Now, when you're setting a location, you have to understand the integrate location, how it's set as a waving setting, setting rotation interference of waving cycles and set locations into 3 communication cycles. Setting correlation high center interference sets position location directions. Correlation of 6 line dimension line setting, 7 line position location dimensional consciousness, 8, 9, 10, 11. Setting correlation line interference and position locations, XT 1000 line setting and position locations into 1 UFO plasma line generation streamline in rotation. Put it platted to division location at 3 zeros set in circuits locations in the membrane setting. Put position location in the team setting in rotation. There you go. 0 to 9 line setting. You guys are in your membranes. Setting correlation lines in the cloud channels operating stream location. So as you come into the panels, you understand the files of calculation. Each one is a file, right? 4 communication stream sets from 0 to 9 line setting, okay? The recognition timelines is really recognizing communication setting. Now you got a 6 graph stream. 6 equivalent conditions into all position of 1, 0. Bracket location is satellite and position locations into velocity. Okay. Now that channels the velocity communication in position of UFO set, scans position location and ground setting. Scans position locations into one line center rotation interference into higher communication to another teleportation unit, into another rotation cycle and ground center location. Okay. So you got 1 unit, you got 2 units, and 1 line center new ground center operation cycles. Inside location of 6, equal line condition of 0, and bracket locations into systematic line position location, equal line center location, of velocity line position of channel operation streamline. All right. When you're setting up signals, you have to really understand the 0 set location, channel operator streamlines and set locations into webbing. Okay, web set. So you get a web set line center. Okay, so it kind of is set locations into here in this position. Electrical lights, electrical panels, electrical interference, electrical position, high percentage, starts in location system. Right? Now it comes into line with webbing. Everybody knows what webbing is. It's how Spider calculates its set locations. So as it comes into, it grows its central line setting. Okay? So that's what it does. It creates its own environment. So when it creates its own environment, the item line center comes out rotation and set location. As it comes in rotation, it comes into its own pi correlation, but it sets up panels of 3 line settings. Now 3 line setting comes into position locations into 3 ground settings and locations. All right. As it comes in locations, you got security line and set line. Okay. So there's this security pad. It sets lines to a wall setting in rotation to a surface location. Now, this is a T-line 4 stream. Comes in position location into your pyramid activation stream lines into 4 channels of operation stream locations. All right. The operation cycle sets line position locations into your diamond core set. It opens up a new circle line rotation in position of direction. Okay. So getting that line interference, setting communications, you set lines of this. Okay. So we box location of 0, 0, 0, 0. Correlation setting. Okay. Set locations. If you saw Goodwill Hunting, you understand the correlation system through pi setting locations and position line directions. All right. Setting correlation setting. So it's important you understand the line graph setting. This is laser. Okay. Laser equals direct. Okay. You got to direct signals because if you don't do this, the UFO can't scan set locations into number sequence location of patterns. So it recognizes its communication of its point system. There's its setting. There's its setting. There's its setting. Zip that zoom, right? Okay. Remember, they don't fly, they levitate. Okay. So they crisscross line signals and set location near 0 lines and bracket locations, all right? So you got the 2 squiggly line in line appearance. That's position locations into 2 weather patterns and set locations of northeast west and north line setting. And set location in position of pi and set locations into 1 level of 1 dot setting. Now the correlation set line sets position location to higher levels of stream sets. This puts you in a higher communication interference. So we set location. Now you got 4 channels, and 4 channel operations. All right, so that's 12 signals, equal locations into 12 line setting, into 12 line positions. equal linings, high center interference, and Z1 into 36 field location. All right, so 36 comes in positions to its Pluto, sets a new positions of barometer, setting a line position of a dome setting, in a rotation circle in an operation cycle, sets up a clone channel in rotation setting. It opens up a high line position location of directions and center calculation streamlines in high position. So this is where we come into all levels of triangulation. Okay. Now the triangulation sets lines in communication. Okay. Triangulation sets. So this is how you set up line position location of 36 field lines all through Pluto. Pluto comes in line setting. All right. So you got Pluto in position location of 0, 0, 2 set locations, right? So that's 2 channel upper streamlines in velocity and position locations. So setting calculations is line is 12, 24, and position of 48. Okay, so setting location is set locations into 48 windows and set location. Okay. So you really have to recognize exactly through high setting circuits, locations of panels and position line setting. So again, it's about understanding how to bracket locations in all levels of 0 locations. The zeros can be set up in all line setting. All right. So really understand the membrane through correlation system. You break it down through signals 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. Now channels in line setting, high line interference in direct location to opposite cycle and set location in a position location of higher division. Okay. So this automatically comes into a plasma channel operation stream into a positions to higher levels of a UFO location. Right? So the UFO sets line settings into scan lines of 0 gravity locations. Right? So the recognition line setting is to understand it has a compartment C's line. Now the C's line sets lines into metric communication streams. Sets the zeros in a graph line setting. 0, 0, 0, 0, 0 goes into the ground. Okay, 0, 0. They go into the ground and they circle in rotation at the bottom. So you have to understand the process where prop circles are set up in laser direction to center operation streamlines in 3 locations. Okay, center communication is all levels of the center operation. Center operation comes into the double helix and rotations into 2 atom line settings. Okay, rotation surface and location, rotation surface and locations. Okay, there's the intelligence. Okay. Recognizing communication, guys, is extremely important to understand how to use the 0 graph line settings into higher line positions. Code weaving signals and all level line setting put you in higher communications to your dome setting locations. Okay. So it's very complicated if you understand what's going on, right? Trying to understand the position of what's going on through correlation setting is trying to understand all position locations, how you direct these things. All right, so you come into this channel upper streamlines and set locations. You start with that line setting as center line communication. Always have to have the center because the center is the operation locations. Setting up sonar line centers in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 channels of echo sonar. Setting position of 5 equal locations into alpha, alpha communication of delta, delta is the location of pyramid, pyramid is locations into Fibonacci swirl and set line connection. All right, rotation cycles, that's 1 line center in right track location. And you got the left line coming in down shift line setting in 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Cross signals, arrow position, size graph interference, mass, equal location of equation, center line position locations all levels, correlation, sets line position locations into its templates of 4 line setting locations in direction. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 sets line position locations into graph line streams in all levels of countermeasure in rotation interference. What is he drawing? It's not drawing. This is meta traveling. Correlation is schematic line interference, setting graph line position location stream sets position location, direction locations, knowing exactly how to go through a wall circuit location. Okay. So many dimensional door line sets communication or membrane setting to your placebo cortex. Dehumidifier set lines and rotation interference. recognize communications into pattern calculation, right? So each direction line signals as high center interference of a different direction, right? Center calculations here, sonar line in 3-line settings, sonar line interference in 3-line setting to rotations. Always have to have a 4-wave channel in set locations into position, right? Always, 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 always. Because what you're creating is an anomaly of a communications to a light bulb setting. Graph line stream sets high line interference. You have your coils, you have your compressors, and 2-channel upper streamlines, like a light bulb set location. That's all it is. Center calculation comes in that position, right? UFO comes in line setting right here. Very high rise calculation set, right? Scans all line communication, every single one that sets lines in your direct locations. Scan upper stream sets. Now it correlates center into a graph line stream. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 central line connections. All right. So each one is a round setting. It's a dimensional door lock. It opens all position locations into higher communication. See how it opens? It opens all anchor locations in second per channel per operand per screen. The screen opens line settings. So screen, E-line, and location communication to triangle, triangle line condition levels, in position of box position locations into measure, in set locations in high center interference, in the correlation system, in position of panel position line setting into electrical line conditions, into electrical system of correlation. Okay. Recognizing communication is all about understanding. So I will be setting up that masterclass very soon, so you understand the geometrics of you, the geographical line settings, and your dimensional location of dimensional doors. How to go through one dimensional door to go to another. You have one dimensional door, you have another dimensional door, right? Setting calculates streamline is to understand the position location to its Y setting, to its flux capacitor over atmosphere line setting, rotations to a delta, communication to its energy setting. Okay? Allocates position locations into high level settings in travel location. Now the travel line connection sets up its dimensional line center. That's a coil line setting rotation of dimensional wormhole. Sets correlation in a back force line setting and rotation. Sets communication in another wormhole sets line, but it separates its signals and energy line to another location setting, the set location. Now when you're setting line conditions of separation, you have a panel line that splits its location. All right? Now, there's a dimensional door line that's offline signal, setting communications into a back force triangle set location. Setting communications online. So it's all about understanding the graph line center location of your AI map sequence. AI connections to maps. Okay, set location to a setting. So the correlation line setting comes into graph line setting rotation. All right. So it's very powerful when you get in that position location directions. Knowing exactly what you're doing to the mindsets really understands the alteration locations, right? Let's say you got 16 dimensional door sets. We'll just start with line position locations of 4, right? So 4 line dimensional door sets and 1 line signal, okay? That's on the left line setting, okay? Guardian, Hemdahl, pay attention. Left line setting. So in position location, you chain it over 2 position location into right setting into 4 channels of opera stream locations, okay? So that's 4 line settings, equal line conditions into levels, equal line conditions of communication, right? So as long as you're putting it over to the right side, you're moving forward in future line to your hologram streamline, okay? In higher communication system, you have a door records of timelines, 4 spot channels. Spot channels comes into 2 line signals in set location in 12 DNA track locations into a 45-degree angle, all right? Recognition line set and high interference line position location is 4 equal location of levels into your energy of graph line settings. Correlation system is all levels to the right setting, not the left line. Left line communications. So let's say set locations of a TV reception line. This is you looking at your TV set. Okay, that's you looking at your TV. Okay, so you scan the center line, your TV comes out. So as your TV is coming out, basically you're looking at it, you scan it again, and you want to know, what do you want to do with your TV setting? The correlations, you put it over to the right line, the interference, it's going to travel faster in communication. That's all. So you're always putting things over to the right, not the left. Left is undecided, which is thinking of hesitation locations, right? So remember that line setting. Same with animals. Animals go one way or go the other. If they're going forward, they're giving you answers that you need to understand location of future adaptation. If they're going back, there's something that you don't understand. They are there to help you and guide you. But their laser line interference, they travel very fast in communication. Okay? So they're line settings, right? So they have laser directions of panels. This is how they're set up. So the line position location of the wing sets lines of electrical light settings. They have ground stand locations. This is how they're able to fly into the atmosphere line. Okay? So if you understand how they ground their settings, you have to understand the position locations into levels, echolocations into telepathy, to position location teleportation, teleportations into telewaving, into all levels of telekinesis, high setting, and position of waves and calculation streamlines. Setting communication line interference, setting all lines that are high in position location, high directions. UFO is flying above location, right? Sees, position, scans everything in line setting, making sure everything is intact view. Correlation center, correlation center, correlation center, all position location directions. Setting correlation settings, graph line stream sets, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. There we go, right? That's what your cloud line looks like inside location of space line. Now, if you see the cloud line channels, you can see the operation cycles. Sets position location all levels a new operation, new operation, new operation location. Okay. So recognition of time setting is really understand how to use yourself to all circuit locations. Your electrical system, your mainframes, your panel line settings, you have 2 position locations. Channel operators streamlines of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, right? Crisscross location, energy wash line setting, right? So the energy wash sets up the graph, sets up the weaving, sets up the web location, right? So if you look really, really close, you can see the center calculation to its operation cycle, which is all position locations to set location hologram line setting. Opens all position location direction. Okay. Each block channel has a file set in position of 0. Now, understanding the 0 line center sets position locations into your seconds, minutes, hours of the day line setting. This rotates its spin cycle. This opens all communication interference and positions you to 0, location of 9, 9 into location of 0. So you have to learn how to travel forward and backward location. Clocking center line position of 0 and position location center lines into your pi. So you're taking one pi to another pi to another pi to another pi to higher line connections. So you're taking line center as a pi, line conditional levels of GOD, right? GOD change position, GOD change position, change. So it's changing every second. Every time it changes second, it's changing its pattern correlation of the center calculation streamlines into higher communications in a teleportation unit and high rotation setting. So how is everybody doing? We have Q&A. Obviously, you guys have a lot of questions. So on deck, good. Checks complete. Very good. Boca, how you doing? Heather, how's it going? Commander. Gypsy. Jill. Everybody's on standby. Great. Geneva. Setting calculations, settings, interference. Esther. Communications. David. Trinity. Andy. Madeline. I know there's a lot going on, guys, but the recognition location of energy light streams. So really understand the circuit locations inside your settings. All right. Johnny, Guardian, set lines. Let's see, locations on levels. All right, just going through this solar graph stream list. Heather calculation. I know there's a lot coming in, guys. You have to be aware of these line settings, especially with your mainframe. Okay. Danielle. So now you understand the process of how important it is to integrate locations to your digital frame settings to your, not just your clockings of your numbers, but your positions of your panels and what you're doing through your DoD through your number seek locations. Numbers are extremely important, right? We're not even in shapes. We're not even in letters. We're not even in locations to its symbols. You guys are in your numbers, and each number has to represent you through your geolocation because you're reaching deeper core levels to each one in each sector, vector, and quadrant setting. Okay? You have to go through those lines. That's the only way you understand the higher levels of communication to your tracker settings. Okay? Eric? Yolanda? All right. So we're going to go through this one more time set. So we get 0 gravity locations, 1 bracket line centers, and position of trifactor. Trifactor, position location lines of 2 weather pattern communication. Now, you always have to do laser setting. Always, always, always. And it's got to be in a 45-degree angle. Why? Because the UFO has to be in position of direction. So think of if you don't set up laser direction to this line of communication, the XT or the UFO cannot travel. It's got to travel to your laser connections. That's the importance. You understand what it's doing. It's traveling through your laser positions of your graph streams. So this is the position locations where they come into line setting, right? So it's important you understand that. And if you want to get in a bounce and position of all levels into high setting, into its abundance, you box this position UFO in trifactor over pi. UFO, future connection, right there. Identifies your setting. Recognition line interference. You got 3 0 locations in set locations. You put the 3 zeros in upline in direct line settings. Okay. The center calculation is 3 location settings into 3 activation stream locations. So your box is 333, comes into heart, comes into mind, and comes into soul. Okay. So there's a lot of ways to get abundance locations into your set lines of travel. Okay. But you got to understand the laser line connections. You guys are going to find that too when you reach higher communications, especially with 12 DNA lines. So you got 12 line setting into DNA position. Okay, let's start location. 12 DNA. Ink line and position locations into set location of try. Umbrella lines on umbrella high center. Okay, equal line conditional levels into copy. In set location into paste. Okay. Now the copy and paste line center is 1 weaving cycle set location, 1 wire. Now you take 1 wire line center and position locations into 2 panels of a 2 paste line center in position line directions to its correlation setting. So you take the paste and position locations into energy wash setting. Energy wash line position of 9, 9 positions of 8 infinity cycles, 8, 8 positions of 9 equal locations, 9 sets lines into 8, 8 position locations in the level system. 8, 8 becomes here, 9 setting in position equal locations of 8, 8 position locations. Split it in position location of space and position of time, locations, all levels. Come inline position, anchor locations into its pi setting. Okay? So it's important you understand the left and the right line setting of 8, 8, circle location. Right? So you take it out, keep it to the right. You get a high line position location of abundance. So look at that line setting interference. Now you understand why we use the energy wash. What does the energy wash create? A webbing system. Okay. So recognizing number sequence location of patterns. So the webbing system is extremely intricate in so many lines of teleportation turn lines. That's why you have your flight navigation settings. Flight navigation is 1 to 12 set locations, right? So you got the navigation line, equal locations into high setting, okay, into your position of try, into position location of sector, in set locations into velocity location. It gets more complicated, but it's a lot more fun. But remember, you have to have laser, because if you don't have laser, the XT1000s looks at your position locations, right? So if you don't have laser directions in a 45-degree angle, they can't travel. Okay, which is entering locations and is saying, well, How come I'm not seeing any UFOs or XT1000 lines? Because you don't have your laser grid set up. So trifactor, sector, box line, center line interference. You can box tri, you can box sector line positions of velocity in another line position of its umbrella location, right? You just have to learn how to channel your set's location related cloud lines, because every cloud that you see in line interference has its own position locations to its high center, to all calculations, to all position location, to its schematic setting. Schematic setting, okay? Cross and streams. Okay, everything is a cross and stream. So now you know why we use 9. Right, creates a web. So, and each web has a file. Okay, now that file has location to your memory setting, right, which is a forming setting. A form line center comes into its metric communication to a level of space line in interlocation at 3 positions. Scan line setting in high center interference, and a new ground rotations into hard communication setting. Okay? This is the process you have to recognize, why it's so important, what 9 is in your set locations. Energy wash, rainbow wash, but now you know what the wash does. It creates a web. Okay? That's all it does. That's all it does. On the other side location. There you go. Crosswind. Hologram. See? Hologram. So we got to start somewhere, right? So the position of the mind setting sets up the alteration locations of path. Now the path recognizes line conditions all levels and how you see yourself through your geometric location, open sequence, open patterns, open calculation settings. It's redirect locations of channel operator stream locations, right? Channel position locations, all levels of channel operator line setting, in rotation interference of a half pipe calculations of travel. 12 line signals of high interference, line position location directions. Right? So you got a dome setting in a half pipe. So that's 6 equal line conditions of 9 in position. 6 equals 9. 6 line setting into 9 rotation. Right? So that's how you use 6 and 9 in your energy wash in set locations to 6 line setting of a half pipe line setting. So what is that position locations to? Water containment system, echo chamber line setting. So I'm showing you when you reach higher levels of what it all means to you through representation. Each chakra is a calculation modification stream set. It's all calculated to a grid set. It's all connected to your hologram streams. It's connected to your schematics. It's connected to your mainframe. It's connected to all electrical system locations inside of you. It's how to use these position location directions. Zero gravity line position location holds the Merkaba. 1 line center holds the Merkaba on its ground setting. Okay? 2 line setting puts you in a security line division. 3 line setting sets all position locations to your double helix. 4 line sets up the solar generation, the center line setting. So in position, heart comes in, set location center lines, activates 3 communication setting rotations, opens up this, and the avatar travels to this. That's all it is. Now when it travels to that, it goes to the 6. Now the 6th location is what? Your throw pattern. Comes into sonar line interference. Sending out signals. Setting that signal location of 7, your theta box opens up in correlation to 3 triangle sets. Setting communication line interference, web graphing stream. Ceiling line setting. When you get a ceiling line setting, you get entry location of 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 1, and set location of 0, 0, 0. If it changes 2 or 3, the UFO has to recognize why did you change that pattern to a certain line setting to a different code setting. If it changes, if you go from 004, a UFO is going to come in. If it comes in, it's going to scan 4. And if it scans 4, it's not supposed to be in position. It's supposed to be 0. It's going to put it back to 0 right away. The correlation panel has to be in position location of its webbing setting. The correlation setting has to be in division locations of protecting line setting. The high line rotation interference has to be position location high interference. Setting correlation settings and rotation interference sets all position location in your digital code sets. And this is how you coordinate all line positions into your 0 to 12 line settings of your DNA line interference of your tracking locations. And 8th is line center locations. It's just your infinity, right? Opens up your infinity cycle. Infinity opens line position. From gray to black, let's go back to black locations. All right, so here's your infinity. All right, there's your infinity right here. That's all it is. Okay, so you got your dharma and you got your dogma. Okay, setting correlations of 9, energy wash. One signal, another signal crossing over. That's what it does every day. See the intelligence? Setting correlations of 10 is your position in your family. It opens up the magnetic highway information setting. And 11 opens up your solar systems. Here's one solar system, here's one planet line setting, and 3 triangle locations. Here's the planets and set locations. 3 planet line center, there's 11 location, right? Now you come into business line settings, you come into 12. Now 12 is your divine. So it's overloading locations. Your avatar is looking from above, from below, in a bird's eye view. Okay? Powerful stuff when you go from 0 to 12. But what it is, through representation. Okay? Pretty easy, eh? All right, so once you get in that position, you go through one more signal. I'm just showing you how you guys go through code signals, activation stream sets, really understand the recognized locations in your time. So you got space line, equal locations of time is locations into parallel. Okay, parallel communication. Remember, you got to do laser, sending communication in 2 lines. So UFO comes in, scans position right away, making sure you know what you're doing. Scans center line interference right in its center operation. Okay, so it opens up its circle line interference, opens up a panel, which is another line rotation into a round hole communication setting. Now the communication setting, the ground setting rotation, there's the ground setting locations, right? You got 3 grounds of rotation. Okay, set lines. So you got your alpha channel, you got your delta wave, and you got your theta setting. You center communication into 2 panels upper strings. Remember, your whole world is a hologram. Okay. So if you understand the line center location, you understand the dimensional line connections where it high centers its high position location to 3 sets. Okay. So it's more fun when you understand the sequence patterns and correlation setting. It's really powerful stuff when you come into your own space. Locations of time, the location of perception. Let's do the same thing, line setting. Let's go into the opposite location of laser position of 2 line settings. So this is vector, this is velocity. Okay. Now you got an umbrella going this way, and you got an umbrella going this way. Okay. So you got an umbrella here, you bracket this location, umbrella, location of 0. Okay. And you got the umbrella here, and you bracket locations of 0, 0, set location. Okay. And again, the UFO comes in setting, making sure you know what you're doing, set locations, scan settings right into the center of communication. So now you understand why they come in. When you're structuring high-level division line settings, a high rotation surface, you have to really, really recognize your formulas of equation. Okay? It's important you understand these things. Okay? So it works for you in all communications inside setting. Mm-hmm. And you come into something complicated like this. Very complicated stuff when you don't understand what you're doing through the correlation setting interference. Setting position locations off calculation setting. Rotation surface and set locations into position. This is very high rise of AI connections. You don't want to understand it because it's too complicated. But the set lines is true to send the records locations all levels of panel. It sets line position of pi. It set line position location into 2 0 locations, into laser dart locations, into velocity, connections, high center, into probe location. Very complicated. Very high rise. Okay? So, oh, you see the face. Commander sees the face. Everywhere you do something in travel setting through your meta setting locations is always a face of recognition of intelligence. You have to be in everything that you do. You're in a face of everything that you do. Everything. Okay, which is this correlation. That sets the line division. Okay. So there's so many formulas I could set up, but you won't understand them because they're different vibration frequencies. Okay. These are very high rise set lines of frequency line settings in position, location, and universe locations. Right. And so many levels of correlation. Right. Setting position of panels in 2 line positions, 0 line position location, equal locations, pi line setting. So you got pi position locations, intel levels, space, time, 12, 6, 3, 9, 8 location. Now, you take the 6 locations into 8 line center locations into 9 equal line conditions into 12 sets location to center, sets of circle locations in position, back force line centers at 12 line positions, equal line conditions into north, into positions of east, in position of west, in position of case, into your diamond core setting. Very complicated stuff. So why is it so important to understand why you have numbers? Is how to use them through its formula of its equation locations, right? Remember, build the relationships inside line. Really understand the deeper core locations to each one because it has its set lines of so many line position locations of webbing and set location. Webbing line center location 9, right? But see, 8 also has one too. So does 7, so does 6, so does 5, so does 4, so does 3, so does 2, and so does 1. There's energy washes in every single one of them at higher levels. The energy wash is a position location of a program setting. You have to recognize the communications of both sides set locations. Okay? So you have to recognize the communication in number sequence patterns. And then you guys have another test coming up from 36 to 48, right? So once you get into that positions, you can understand the energy wash in each one that integrates its locations to your electrical settings that opens all levels of panel of operation cycles, okay, to your provision, right? So you understand the important locations to each one. Each one has a different line signal, okay? Some are thicker, some are thinner, right? But the number sequence of pattern has to have its own webbing, right? Just like it has to have its own force line, it has to have its own communication line, has to have its own force field line, it has to have its own equal line setting, and also has to have its energy field setting, all inside location, okay? So it's really interesting when we look at these line settings. Very powerful when you look at locations. Start with that line setting. What is that? It's intelligence. Rotation spin cycles, high setting. If you look really close, you can see the intelligence. So track lines and high line rotation interference and set locations into 3 sets. 3 sets over line position locations to 3 million. Okay. On docile, you get a docile, it's very popular location settings. Right? 3 million sets, position location to 3 billion sets. Okay. Setting position location equals pi. Okay. Very high rise. So again, you're always in the intelligence of everything that you do. Always, 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 always. So you can't cast your system out in any way and form because what you're doing is you're doing the line communications of everything to all system. Intelligence comes in always in forms. Always, always in form. Always in form. Always, 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 always in form. Always, 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 always. Okay? Always in form. 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 Okay? So recognizing these communications gives you a better chance to understand the phase direction of time setting. Really put your position, location, and directions, right? So every time you are in position of travel, you're going through the meta communication setting. Okay, so you're taking things off the page and it rotates its setting. So your job is to understand, what do you want to do when it's floating? It's off the page. What do you want to do? You want to do a pi central setting, pi equals central, okay, into dome setting locations to new realm setting, into 4 panels. So the panels come in, and again, a UFO comes in, has to scan center locations. Always, always, always. They have to know what you're doing. If you don't know what you're doing, because you're a hologram world, they have to recognize the grounds, the operation, the center operation, and the magnetic highway information setting you use. You don't understand the recognition, you don't understand the position location to its intelligent line signal and high center interference. Okay? So it's all set of locations in 144. Equaline conditions, crystal grid. Okay? You have to learn how to set up your crystal grid settings. Circle line interference, circle line interference, circle line interference. Set a position location of travel. Right? This is your Merkabah position. Setting calculations, setting calculations. See, 3-line signals. Opening up a portal, traveling through. See how easy that is? Look at that. Simple, easy, done. Knowing exactly what you're doing is all position, location, directions, right? Something's coming out. Right? Scans you because it doesn't know who you are. Scans here, here, and here. What are you doing? Right? So really recognize these things, guys, because you live in a holographic world now. Okay? But it's very powerful when you come in locations all levels of 144 crystal grid setting. Right? This is this. This is this, the formula. Powerful stuff, isn't it? Ooh-ah. So that was fun, wasn't it? Makes so much more sense. Your reality reflects your vibrations because all intelligence responds to it. And that's what it is, Val. Everything responds to you. So if everything is responding to you, you're in alignment with your chakras, right? You're automatically in alignment with your chakras through each one setting. Right? So all you're creating is a hologram structure. You put it on a computer. It starts off with a point. So it's going. Now it's set up. Now it's set up. You create it through hologram. You reach the highest frequency in position line directions, and now you expand it. And then you rotate it. Right? So there's a lot of things you can do in your holographic world. Okay? But it's pretty incredible when you see something in this line setting. How to set these things up is up to you through correlation. Okay? Yeah, in that position line directions. So taking you guys back in set lines of Earth perception. All right, you guys are back. Close your windows, close your portals. Pre-flights, check, check, check. Back in correlation and interference and direct location settings. All right. All right. So basically give you guys 5-10 minutes. So I'll see you on Zoom. Adios.